What's happening? Well, I'm back today with a car you haven't seen on my channel in quite a few years, but this is a really cool car I worked on. It's got a lot of kind of history, I guess, with me. My dad sold this car to a friend of mine. His name is Briley, and this car was local, and my dad had it, and Gabe and I have been friends since high school. And he saw the car during a Christmas parade of all things years ago, and my dad had it, and he's like, I gotta have that car. I said, well, you're in luck, my dad is selling it, and he was a car dealer at the time. And I said, I'll make sure he hooks you up with it. And here it is. Long story short, he bought it, and he's had it for all these years. It's a really nice low mile example of a 1990 GT, what they call the Fox body hatchback 5-liter. And over the years, I've helped Gabe out. I've done some work to it for him. It's got a Vortex supercharger. It's got the upgraded 17-inch chrome ponies on it. I mean, this car is really nice. Tinted windows, lowering springs. I did majority of that work to it, window tint and things like that. But if you'll notice, it's got the original tail lights and rear wing, ground effects kit. It's a really nice example of a preserved Fox body, and it was originally white, and so it is the original color. It does have an aftermarket cow hood on it, and I put these hood hinge pins on it a couple years ago. They're really neat how they work like that. I spent a lot of time and effort putting those on. He's got the Cobra grill insert, which we had painted and put on. This helps the car cool down with a bigger radiator, because it does have a Vortex supercharger. This particular car, he got rid of the original engine, actually upgraded it. He now has a 331 stroker motor in it. So this car with the S-trim supercharger, again, it's the smaller of the Vortex superchargers. It makes over 500 horsepower. He's not really trying to go for like a crazy amount of boost of this car, because this is like, it's just his cruiser car. But I told him if he'd ever upgrade that to like a bigger, like a YSI supercharger, and put it on like E85, and he'd have to upgrade the fuel system. He's still rocking a T5 transmission, so he'd have to upgrade that too. But this thing has potential to make, you know, 700-800 plus horsepower to back tires all day long. But he didn't really build it for that. He just wanted a nice car that he could cruise up and down the street, sound good, run good, and that's what he's got. The reason it's here today is the car actually sits outside at his house, and he has a car cover on it. What's happened is, over the years, with the moisture gets under the cover and the cover actually sliding back and forth on it, it has marred the finish to the point that it actually looked like it has gone through the clear. So if you'll notice, if you look down the side here, see how shiny it is on the sides, but about right here, the hatch, it goes from shiny to dull. And it's very dull. And he's tried to keep wax on it and keep it clean, and all that's fine, but I told him I wasn't sure if that's something I can fix, if there's any clear left to work on, because I'm real hesitant with these cars, you know, with the age and everything on them, to do a lot with the paint for correction. So I told him I'd see what I could do. So I took my, basically a pad by hand, I did a little bit of light compound on it. As you can tell, I am gonna be able to bring it back. So a lot of this marring of the finish is really just the car cover rolling back and forth on it. And you can tell it wasn't really a fitted cover for the car, because the sides are really shiny. So you can tell the cover was kind of ballooned on the sides, and the top, it was tight, and it was basically sliding like this. And like putting any cloth on paint, moving it back and forth for a long time, it's gonna basically like sand the surface. And that's what it was doing. It was just kind of sanding on the clear. But I should be able to fix that. And again, I just did this by hand, you know, just rubbing the pad a little bit around, and it went from this to that. So I'm gonna start my correction process, which consists of me basically cleaning the paint with a kind of aggressive compound that I've got, but I'm not gonna use a very aggressive pad, just because I don't wanna cut too much. So I'm gonna let the compound do the work, but not really go with my full bore pad, just to see how I can cut it without cutting it too much. So when you detail a car, you try to correct your car, use the least abrasive compound first and the least abrasive pad and see what it does. And because I know this compound, this is a 1,000 grit compound, this is what you normally do to cut and correct one that's got a lot of deep scratches or imperfections. I'm probably gonna step it up to like a 1,500 and see if it does the same kind of correction with the machine. And if it does, I'll probably start off with 1,500. If it doesn't, I'll use 1,000 and just move my pads around, see if I'm gonna use a hybrid wool pad or just go to a foam pad. But I'm gonna start working on that. It's not just the roof, really the whole car needs a correction. You can see, you know, kind of the rest of it. It's in the same shape. It's not bad, but I'm gonna do the whole car, get it straightened out for him and get it slick. And then I'm not really gonna coat the car. I'm gonna let him put his wax of choice, whatever he wants to on it. But I'm gonna use this new Shock It gloss coating that I've been using, which is make a spray-on detail. I've been using that on my other cars, and it works really well for a quick detailer. And like I say, I know he likes to put wax on it, so I'm just gonna let him do his thing with that. But for now, I'm just gonna get it corrected for him, and it should come back and look pretty good. So just want to show you the car. It's kind of a time capsule here. You don't see many Fox bodies anymore, especially one in really good shape like this. It's in really good shape. You'll notice the door moldings on these cars, you notice has a little discolored because this is rubber and this is steel, and then these are actually plastic. That's why the color is different on them a little bit. That's just how Ford did it back in the day. And common, the mirrors are faded, paint's starting to come back a little bit on it. And the front cap, same thing. This is rubber and this is steel. So typically on Fox bodies, the cap will start discoloring a little bit. You can see a little bit of discoloration here in the front. And most aftermarket headlights for these, you'll see has got a little yellow tinge to it compared to the marker lights. Again, very common for aftermarket lights for the car. And I notice here a little bit of cracking in the front bumper cover because it's probably been repainted at some point, because this bumper cover is in really good shape for the paint. But overall, car's in really, really nice. Just want to show you before I start on it what we're working with basically. And microfiber. Just kind of rub that in just a little bit. Take some of that compound off real easy. Like that. Again, this is just the first pass. You notice I go at low speed. Not really trying to polish at this point, just trying to clean it. And I'm liking the results so far. So that's what they call the hybrid wool pad and 1,000 grit compound. So because that's low speed, it's not really trying to polish. Again, it's just trying to clean it a little bit. I can use a little bit more compound, keep the same pad, turn the speed up, and then it's gonna start trying to polish that out, and it'll give it more of a shine effect. But I don't try to do all that at one shot. I try to go easy and see how much is taken off and clean it up a little bit. So just to kind of give you an idea, if you look right here, see if I can get some better light or better angle. You look at the angle here, you look at my light, it's coming down right there. That's the side we just kind of cleaned up, and that's it over there. It looks like it's yellow, like a yellow halogen bulb, and over here it looks like a white LED bulb. So definitely clean up. You can barely even see the green neon rope I've got over there. And you look at it here, you can actually see the green neon. So it's definitely going to clean it up and make it look nice. So I've taped up majority of the car because I am gonna have to buff the whole car, and I'll show you why. It's not just the top that needs work. I mean, clearly the top needs work, but as you can tell, it's coming around. Just to show you a little bit of, you know, what we got going here. It's coming around. What I want to show you is specifically right here, if you can see from left to right there, on the left hand side here of my light, that's where I buffed down to as far as cleaning, and on the right, that's where I haven't. So see how dull and kind of dingy dark it is? And then this is where I have. So see, the clarity is definitely better, and this side is not. So this is what it is after like one stage of compound with a hybrid wool pad and 1000 grit. And this is how it came into me. Now it looked clean, you know, if you stand back like this, the car actually looks good. It doesn't look bad at all. But again, under, you know, these lights, you know, it starts showing flaws. And when you start getting close to it, you just notice it's just not very deep, doesn't have that deep reflection. And then you get over here, you're like, okay, it's got a deep reflection again. So basically, it's just a clear coat, just needs to be scrubbed. And what that hybrid wool pad does in 1000 grit, it scrubs the top layer of the clear coat. Now, it does remove some clear coat, like I talked about before, but it's a very gentle, it sounds like it's a wool pad, you think, man, that's really aggressive, but a hybrid wool pad, it's not as aggressive. So with a dual action polisher, it's not as bad as you think. But yeah, I just wanted you to see the difference. Left-hand side is clean, right-hand side's not been touched. And so that's why I have to do the whole car, because clearly the car needs this scrub all over. And the top section is gonna be the worst. The sides won't be as dirty or as noticeable, but I'm going to do the whole car with the 1000 grit to clean it. Then I'm gonna go and do a 1500 with a foam pad. Then I'm gonna go to a 2400 and then finish up with 3500. So this car is gonna get a 4-stage correction just because it needs it. You know, it's just, the paint just needs to be scrubbed, and to get all the imperfections out, I just need to do it the right way and go a little extra for him. I know he didn't really expect all that, but he just wanted the top kind of fixed up and shiny, which it is. And I could literally give it back to him like this and he'd probably be tickled to death, but that's not how I do things. So I'm gonna give him the full pull, and we'll figure out the details later. But you know, he's a friend of mine. And again, there's history of this car. My dad sold this car to him years ago. And so I'm gonna take care of him, you know. But anyway, just wanted to show you, you do have to tape up some things without removing it. I did remove this trim here, and I taped up so the glue doesn't get on my pad. I removed the wipers and the little cowl panel here. And then I taped up other things like the headlights, the black trim, the hood latches and all. And then I'm gonna go through and hit all this. So it's gonna be a lot of work. Today's Sunday, so it's probably gonna take me a few days to go through the stage one. Probably take me all day today to do stage one. All right, this is 1500 grit compound on my orange pad. I have done the wool pad over the whole car in 1000 grit. As you can tell, it definitely brought back some shine. It got rid of the brown look that it had to it, and it's cleaned it up basically. And now we're gonna get into the actual correction where we're gonna have some depth to this. As you can see in the camera, it just doesn't have any depth. Cleaned it, but no depth. So we're gonna fix that now. Do a little polishing on it. Just wanna show you as we go along in the steps. Get it where it need to go. All right, this is round 2. So this is after 1500 grit and a foam pad. So this is when you start actually what they call correcting the paint. So I can already tell you it just feels a lot slicker as I'm moving the microfiber around, taking off the material. And I want you to look, see how we're starting to get some depth to the paint now. Definitely coming around. So let me remove some more of this material here so you can see it. this is the car after a 4-stage correction. What do you think about that? Pretty good reflection, huh? I think so. Car's come a long way, if I do say so myself. Big difference there. So, I know I said originally that I wasn't going to do anything, let him put his wax of choice on it, but after all this work, I can't send it out of here like that. So, I'm getting ready to put a ceramic coat on it for him, and because the car's never been corrected, now it's been corrected, and I'm gonna coat it. I like using Optimum Gloss Coat for cars like this. So this is it. Got a brand new container, hadn't even cracked it open yet. And you get 20 milliliters, as you can see there. So I'm getting ready to crack that open and do some coating on it. And this thing's gonna look fantastic, A1 top notch, because now it has been corrected. I have cleaned it. I've done an alcohol wipe down on it to remove any impurities on it. I have to leave it taped up. I don't want to get anything on the trim. As you can tell, some of my tape kind of rolled off of all the buffing I was doing, because when you buff something 3 or 4 times, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and coat this bad boy, let it sit overnight, which is what you want to do, just to let it sit in there and cure. Then I'll take all the tape off and clean all the trim up really well, and the glass and everything really well. And then we'll move on to the next step. So stay tuned. All right, today, I'm still working on the white 90 GT, but the body work and what I was tasked to do is completed. The body looks great. It's been corrected. It's been ceramic coated. It actually looks fantastic. So what I was commissioned to do is done. Car looks good. I just got to clean the glass real quick, but that part is done. And the purge, it now has a dual purge, and that's how it looks in here. And it comes out here, and I'm gonna paint these black just so they blend in a little more. But the owner, Gabe, came over and he got to try out the purge. He was real happy with it. He was tickled to death how the car looks. Unfortunately, the car's been sitting here for a few days and it's got some leaks under it. One is the oil pan's leaking, the drain plug for the Canton's leaking. It looks like the valve cover gaskets are leaking a little bit, but the biggest thing is the drain plug's leaking and dripping. So I'm gonna change the oil. So I've got 5 quarts of 10W30 and a new Motorcraft FL1. Vortex slipping the belt. Yeah, it is not happy. Definitely slipping the belt. Got some pretty good power though. Yeah, I saw it making about 10 pounds of boost and started slipping the belt, so that sucks. You ain't making no kind of power with a 331 stroker and a Vortex, and I'm not seeing it make more than about 10 pounds, and you can hear it shrieking the belt out there on the supercharger. So it's got a 275 pulley. It should be making a lot more than 10 pounds of boost. Pulls good until it starts shrieking the belt.